Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, welcome to the Overall View, the program that lets you see from God's perspective the entire world and how God sees it all. Your hostess for this travel adventure is Josephine Russo, presenting for you the big picture. Because once you see the larger picture, everything else will seem smaller by comparison. May your troubles be few and your vision be large. And now, here's Josephine Russo.
An Overall View is a television show that focuses on ordinary people who do extraordinary things. We find the unsung heroes in life who lift up and inspire, and then make that inspiration available to all, like a fountain of living waters. So here, have a cup of cold water and refresh yourself as we tell you the story of An Overall View. At present, there are 27 episodes of An Overall View, 17 of which were produced by a previous producer and 11 by producer Al Nesser. The executive producer and creator of An Overall View is Josephine Russo, an ordinary housewife who decided one day to create a unique television show to inspire others through the lives of those who inspire her.
Welcome to An Overall View. I'm the host of the show. My name is Josephine Russo Leonard, and our special guest today is Al Nesser. Welcome to An Overall View, Al.
Josephine is a woman with an old-time virtue who loves people more than machines. She hates computers because human contact and human relationship is far more important to her than anything else on earth.
Growing up, I never had a problem in my whole life. I've worked ever since I was in high school, ever getting a job.
Wow.
And now, it's a bit difficult. Very few places have handwritten applications. Remember years ago you just filled out the application? Now they have the computer, and you need to know the computer to apply. Stop and Shop, Price Right, Target,
CVS.
CVS, even Walgreens.
Yeah.
And I used to work for Walgreens as a cashier.
Well,
But no longer can you walk in and say, I'm experienced cashier. I'm very blessed to be a part of it.
Yes,
Because I
am
work
thrilled
for
to have-
Able, and I'm the receptionist there.
Yes.
Episodes 13 and 16 are about me, and that's only because Josephine used to know me from my singing on the subway days.
Take a look at Joe. He looks so good in his suit. He got rid of all his rags and his nasty manners to boot. Well, he may not say a lot of things. Yes, I know he's done his time. He's come a long way to save your soul and mine. You know,
Amen.
he became a pastor.
Oh,
Police were my biggest contributors, oddly enough. Wherever I would play guitar, crime would drop down to zero. And criminals who came into my presence always got caught. Whenever they saw me, the police, whenever they saw me playing on the subway, they knew they could reallocate their resources to other locations. This saved the MBTA time, money, and made their operations much more efficient. Episode 16 came about because Josephine's talent failed to show up, and I just happened to be in studio that day editing one of my own projects.
Because he lives, I can face
tomorrow because he lives. All fear is gone because I know, Lord, I know you hold the future, and life is worth the living just because he lives.
The old producer eventually moved away, and so Josephine was stuck and needed a new producer. The first show she had me work on was episode 18, about a new preacher who just came to town, Paul Davis. And the thing that impressed me the most about this man was his steadfast faithfulness to his wife. His love for her was like a stone wall that kept everything else out.
Also, your wife.
Mm-hmm.
And I met you and your wife when you first came,
Right.
October 3rd, and she's very lovely,
Thank you.
and your children. But what if the wife, it's like being married to a doctor or a police officer,
Mm-hmm.
or someone that is in the field of ministering constantly
Mm-hmm.
to others. What if she resents that?
Well, if she resents it, you do have a problem, and that's hard to operate efficiently if your wife is not with you. I've heard a phrase many times, behind every good man is a good woman. And I do have a good wife that stands behind me, and she herself, she has a close walk with God herself. Back when we got married, before we got married, we both agreed that God would be the center of our lives individually, and then if God brought us together in marriage, He would definitely be the center of our lives in marriage. You know, I think this applies to anybody really in marriage. You take a husband and wife, and then think of a triangle, and you put God here at the top. And if you draw closer to God, then you will draw closer to each other.
Episode 19 is about the most compassionate and caring person in the town of Lynn, George Marcos. If you were hungry, he'd feed you. If you didn't have a job, he'd find something for you to do. If you were a pregnant teen, he'd find you a place to stay.
Lynn is one of the greatest places I experienced in my life. I haven't been to many, many places, but there's a place I worked, made my life, make money for my family, and I love it. You know what I mean? You always got to respect where you know, the bed you sleep in. You know what I mean? Because that's how you support your family, you support others, you support so many people working for you. Some
But
people
not
depend on you.
everyone gives back like you do in the community. You're involved with so many different programs, Lynn Classical. You're involved with Thanksgiving dinners.
Lynn
You're
Community
involved
Connections.
with parents, nurturing your children. You want to tell us a little bit about the different programs and different ways that you give back in the community.
Okay, I will tell you how everything starts to the person to have that inside you. Because we all grow up with family. We all have a mother, a father. You know, some people are fortunate they don't have a mother or father. You know what I mean? You know, nobody can have the same, but you gotta have a love in your family, no matter if it's your mother, your father, your grandmother. Love is the first thing you gotta have. And security of your kids. Your kids need security.
Episode 20 is about Vianne Campbell. She was a nurse who simply brought a can of food to a local food pantry and then stayed as a volunteer. Eventually, she became the executive director of that food pantry.
Yeah, that story.
We had a young family, a husband, a wife, and a little 7-month-old baby who were evicted from their apartment 3 weeks before Christmas. And the wife had been attacked actually by a pit bull, and she had all these marks on her arms. It was sad, but she called me up out of the clear blue, and she was so distraught that you couldn't understand what she was saying. Low-income family, the dad's disabled, and they had like a $1,400 income. That's not much
No.
for an apartment, and et cetera. So the mother was so distraught that you couldn't understand what she was saying. And I told her on the phone, I said, look, you've got to calm down so I know what you need. So she calmed down a little bit. She was saying she was evicted, that they only had enough money for one day in the hotel, and they had to be out by noon, and they didn't know what they were going to do, and they had the 7-month-old baby. She had called some other agencies, but unfortunately the funding was out. They couldn't help for this reason, they couldn't help for that. Because a lot of agencies have rules, regulations, and they have a limit on their budget.
Right.
And so do we have. We have a very small budget because we don't have as much money as those agencies. But I said, I'll come over and talk to you. So I went over and met the baby. He was so cute. And I sat with her, and she was crying. And I said, I don't want you to cry anymore. I want you to stop. And I want you to have faith that everything's going to be okay. I said, I can't afford to keep you here. We don't have that kind of money. But I won't desert you. And I'm going to pay for one day. That gives us one day to figure out what to do. And I said, tonight I'm going to go up on the internet with your story. And it was $1,680 to stay there until their apartment would be ready. So I went up on the internet, but not just with her story. There were 5 different children that were very ill. One had, a little 9-year-old girl was having part of her bowel removed. Another child was autistic. There was a child that was going to be in the hospital during Christmas, these kind of things. And I put those children's names out there. Well, within 2 hours, all those families were sponsored by people that don't even live in Salem, other areas, Woburn, Burlington, all around, but Linfield, but not in our area. And 2 women called me up and actually said, I'm all upset because all the families are taken and I wanted to help someone. I said, I'm sure I can find a couple extra kids. But the amazing thing was that a young woman called me. She's in her early 30s. She's way from out of this area. She said, I am a very successful businesswoman and I will pay the $1,680, the entire thing for them to stay there. I was floored. She doesn't know them, but she wanted to do something at Christmas for someone. So she did, and we were able to pay for them to stay there. And which thrilled, this is the next morning I'm telling her this, and she's like, really? Said you have to have faith. If you don't have positive and you don't have faith, you've got to have it.
Episode 21 is about Ray Watson, a Christian pastor who has a very special love for the Jewish people.
Also, I'd like to touch on your ministry directly in assisted living places and nursing homes, where you and Linda, the last time we met, I think there was about 6 places that you were going to. Do you want to kind of say, give a round
overall view
of your ministry? And I think it's so vital because these places, a lot of people have no one to visit them. And I remember on our show you brought beautiful blankets. What are you up to now?
We still give those away. People still get chilled.
Yeah.
No matter what time of the year.
I love those fleece blankets. They were so nice.
We just got some again recently. A couple unexpectedly sent us some from Alabama, and we got a couple more from Michigan. A couple up there made us some knitted ones. And we give those to people that are have the chills or whatever.
Yeah,
We talk
right.
to the activities director and ask them, do you have somebody that could use one of these? And they always know somebody that can use one, And so
Yeah.
again, we give those to people, no strings attached. Once in a while, the people will say, "How much are these?" They think we're trying to sell the blankets too. We're just trying to give them to them to be a blessing to them, an encouragement to them, you know.
Right.
But anything that we do it for free. We don't charge anybody anything.
Episode 22 is about June Blair, someone who simply gives money away to those who need help. And she just doesn't give money away, but she also teaches people how to handle money and even learn how to save.
What else would you like to emphasize about your program?
I think there's a couple other things that we're going to be doing soon. One is called an individual development account. It's a match savings program, and families who are in this program will be required to attend financial education, work with a budget coach, and save a certain amount of money. The program will run for 12 months.
Oh.
At the end of the 12 months, if they've done everything they're supposed to do, then SPIN will match the money that they've saved 2 times up to $1,000. So they'll identify a savings goal at the beginning of the program. So if they identify, say they want to buy a car, and at the end of the program they've saved $500, they will get $1,500 towards the purchase of a car. So that'll be starting up pretty soon. And like I said, the workforce development about job creation and job training. So there's a lot of things that will be going on at the center that are going to really be geared to helping people become financially stable. And you don't have to be a millionaire or have a lot of money to be financially stable. And that's, I think, where people got confused a while ago, that they needed to have these big opulent homes and be making thousands, millions of dollars in salaries, and they don't.
No.
And I think people are starting to understand that now. You work with what you have and you can make it.
Amen. That's true.
Episode 23 is about Bernie Balzer, who suffered a very severe football injury, which allowed him, through his adversity, to become a published author. How to find success in spite of failure.
The purpose of the book was try to impress upon people, especially athletes, parents of athletes, or people in general, school kids, anybody really, but mostly grades 7 through 12, that you should participate in sports, football, baseball, whatever, only if you really truly want to. In other words, there shouldn't be any
Pressure.
Feeling of forcedness, or whatever the right word is. You shouldn't want to be, pressure, no pressure. But a lot of kids, believe it or not, play sports because their brother did or their father did, and they don't really go their own way, their own pathway. And that's the problem.
Episode 24 is about Yun and Yan Wang, 2 young exchange students from China who touch the hearts of many every single day.
And you also go to Salem.
Yes, but I just focus on my major, teaching English as a second language, and I'm not so brave as you. Yeah, although I used to be working with Yun for 2 years back in China, I never realized she's such a brave girl until she came here to be living together with me. Yeah, when she first came here and she started kind of new life, she's very, very active, and I think I was inspired sometimes by her bravery, and started to lead an active life.
Isn't that wonderful?
We did a music video for Yun, and later she helped out on a couple of episodes as a camera person. She's an excellent housekeeper, trustworthy with finances, and wants to do her own cooking show someday.
每个人都有一份礼物，就是为另外一个人付出。没经历过挥之不去的痛苦，不懂珍惜手中的礼物。每个熟悉的爱的喜怒，藏在心里最温暖的深处。王子公主，谁能逃得过痛苦？ 下去是最好的礼物。每个熟悉的爱的喜怒，藏在心里最温暖的深处。王子公主，谁能逃得过痛苦？能够勇敢爱下去是最好的礼物。今天我终于领悟，今天就是礼物。
Episode 25 is about Leon Breckenridge. You might remember him from a number of television shows back in the 70s. He grew up in poverty with a violent father who almost killed him.
The reason why I started this hawk program, or the golf program, is because my mother was abused.
Oh.
And I, matter of fact, I seen her being abused by my father at a young age.
Oh.
And as I was looking through the door, I seen my father point a shotgun at her.
Oh, my heavens.
And it was very, very scary for me at that particular time as a youngster. I must have been around 6 or 7 years old.
Oh.
And maybe about a month or two after that, my mother left and went to Jersey. And I didn't see her for about 10 years later, and so on like that. But that was a very tragic thing for me. And my father was very abusive to me also. And I remember the time that many times actually, that he would take a switch to me, and he would take all of my clothes off, or I would make me take all of my clothes off, and I would be naked.
Wow.
And he would beat me with switches and so on. And I did have leukemia. It's a form of leukemia that's called hairy cell leukemia.
Wow.
And so I was sick for a while, but actually I didn't really get sick. I was just getting tired all the time or something like that, you know. But I remember when I was at home, and when the doctors told me that I had the leukemia, and then I went home and I read the Bible.
Wow.
And I was laying in my bed, and I was reading the Bible, and I was reading a certain chapter. I don't remember the chapter, but we talked about Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
and how he lived. And I fell asleep. And I woke up maybe about an hour later. And in my dream, I seen a figure of Jesus Christ.
Wow.
And I said, wow, this is amazing that I would see Jesus. So it gave me the belief that I was going to be cured of this disease.
Wow.
Episode 26 is about Hawk. Healing abuse for women and children. It started out as a golf tournament to raise money for Hawk, but it got rained out. So we turned it into a comedy, leaving the more serious matters for the final 10 minutes. It turns out very nice. Probably one of the best pieces we've ever done. Howdy, this is Al Nesser for an overall view, and Josephine's on vacation this week, and we're enjoying the sunny skies out at the Cedar Glen Golf Course out here in Saugus.
My name is Leon Breckenridge, and I'm from Montgomery, West Virginia, and we're having this tournament today, but it seems like it's going to be canceled. And what is your name again, please?
My name is Paula Stockwell.
Okay, and where are you from?
I'm from Lynn.
Hi, my name is Daniel Breckenridge, and I'm here down at Cedar Glen, and I'm about to interview Eric Holman. How are you today?
I'm doing awesome. A little wet outside, but everything is A-OK now. Looks like it's stopped, and we're getting ready to go.
So you think you're going to beat out the guys today?
I think so. Don't tell anyone. I'm the only woman.
And so I know you as the bug man. So what do you do for work?
I'm an exterminator by trade.
By trade. So you does swinging fly swatters. Does that have anything to do with golfing?
I think it does, actually. It should help me with the motion in the hips, getting the motion down.
Like Happy Gilmore.
Exactly. The motion of the.
All in the hips.
Kind of got to go.
It's all in
flip
the
it
hips.
around, so it'll be a
it's
challenge.
All
but
in the hips, like that, right?
Exactly.
Ooh,
exactly like
very
that.
Good, very good.
Episode 27 is about Donald Preston, president of Habitat for Humanity, North Shore. Here he is talking about one of his fellow volunteers you might recognize.
Can you give us a little bit of a background of President Jimmy Carter's involvement with Habitat?
Well, Jimmy Carter is a volunteer, like I am myself. And Jimmy Carter and his wife are very high visibility volunteers.
Yes,
as you may
yes,
know.
yes.
And for instance, this November, Jimmy Carter is leading a build week in Haiti. And last year it was in Southeast Asia.
Episode 28 is slated to be a guy who knows how to shed pounds sensibly. We expect to go into the studio soon to reveal some of his secrets. One thing I learned is that the reason why I'm so overweight is not because of overeating, but because of the internal damages caused by malnutrition. So hopefully you'll see a brand new me after this show. Now the problem is, we're all just volunteers. We don't get paid to do what we do. We have to borrow cameras and equipment to get any of this stuff done. And well, equipment is getting scarce, and it's hard to keep this show going. What we need is our own computer. That's $3,600. We need software, television editing programs. That's $5,000 there just for that one program, Final Cut Pro. We need a high-speed DVD copier. That goes for $350. That brings us right around $9,000, and we don't have that kind of money. Add another $1,200 for a full-color disc labeler. Ink cartridges go for $70 a piece, and we go through an awful lot of those. And then there's office supplies and studio fees, videotapes, blank DVDs, mailings distributing the show to over 17 different communities. So we're asking for about $15,000 in all for equipment, supplies. We'll still have to borrow cameras, but we think we can live with that. And it doesn't even begin to touch the normal everyday expenses of doing the show. We struggle every day of our lives just to give a little light to this dark world that so desperately needs hope. So that's it. We're just ordinary people trying to share the inspirational lives that have helped to touch our own. Who are your heroes of faith? Who inspires you? Well, if we can help, we'll help. But if there's no provision, it just means God wants us to go in another direction. We wish you all the best in life. We hope you've enjoyed our little time with you. May God bless.